We've made it all the way from your earliest musical memory to the newest album that gets released in a few weeks on October 24th. The album's called The Bloody Light. Half the album is already available to listen to. How has the feedback been so far for those 6 songs that we can listen to as fans?
Well, we had our first number one since Yearning with the breakdown, which was on rock radio, which was incredible. All of the feedback's been really, really positive. Our big test is always how many songs can fit into the set, and so far, I think 4 of the 6 have been mainstays. So the breakdown, the bloody light, don't get lost in the dark, and manifest are in the set all the time, and they elevate the show. They're not just there between the songs that everybody knows really well. They feel like they go somewhere that's not been gone, somewhere that we haven't gone to before, and they're captivating. Like you can tell the crowd's not running. Like usually when you play a new song, it's the most dejecting feeling for a lead singer, especially. You see somebody walk to the bathroom or walk to get a beer, and you know what? That just happens in life. People have to use the bathroom and they have to get a beer. But I take it so personally. Like I'm like, oh my God, they hate it. They hate it so much. They're going to the bathroom. And I'll get in my head about it. And especially when we're doing a new thing, it's quite vulnerable because you're playing to a crowd and they're knowing all these hits. And it's kind of when you're lucky like us and you've had songs on the radio over the years, it becomes a little bit easier because you can play the songs that people know and they'll rock and it's all good. But like when you have to go do something new, you're putting yourself out there and it's vulnerable. And so far with the songs from the Bloody Light, every time we do those, no one's going to get a beer or going to the bathroom. And I'm like, that means these songs are working. So it's the bathroom beer test.
So I've listened to those 6 songs many times with a good pair of studio headphones. I think the 6 are awesome, and I think there's a ton of variety throughout them. So it's musically diverse. There's the hits in there. I think there's something for everyone. It's great studio headphone listening where there's a lot of stuff going on and there's changes in tempo and time signatures and hooks here and harmonies. There's lots of great stuff going on. So I want to start by saying, as a random person here, I love the 6 new songs, and I'm curious to hear what fans can expect from the other half of the album, the 6 songs that will get released on the 24th.
It's kind of all of a piece. Like when you hear the record, I feel like putting out the 6 songs is different than when you're going to listen to this. I know people don't necessarily listen to music like this anymore, but it's a really good 12 set of songs in the order that it comes on the record. And you'll just have to listen to the record all the way through. It even makes those 6 songs we released on their own sound different. And this is where I come up against the new way of doing things. Like everybody's putting out singles out of context, and I am an old school like album guy. Like I grew up on like Automatic for the People or discovering Aerosmith Rocks or the Rolling Stones Exile on Main Street, where like the record is really telling the whole story. And I really feel like The Bloody Light is that album. And I think that when people, if they buy the vinyl or listen to it all the way through the way it was written and recorded, it's going to tell a nice story. And I love the sequencing of it. So I think if you hear the other 6 songs on their own, it's going to be what you liked about those first 6 songs. There's some hitty stuff. There's some kind of more mellow things. And but I think as a piece, it's a great, one of our best records as an album, I think.
So The Breakdown is the band's third number one, and it's the band's 20th top 10 single. That's a milestone. Hitting 20 that's insane, man. And what does it mean to you getting that kind of support at radio 22 years after Not Ready to Go went to number one?
I mean, it's amazing, and it does make a difference. Like everybody thinks, oh, it's streaming, nothing. It doesn't. I know. I'm up there every night, and people know The Breakdown because they heard it on the radio. And I think rock radio is somewhere, like we built our career off Canadian rock radio, and it definitely feels good to be back in their graces for this round. And I hope it continues. I mean, you never know. You can't predict those things, but I definitely felt good turning on the radio and hearing the new song. Because it's always awesome to hear Not Ready to Go or Hope and Ruin or Paranoid Freak or What's Fair is Fair or Rise to. Like, it's great to hear the old songs, but when you hear the new one, it hits a little bit more. Like, you're like, we're here. Like, this is happening right now.
the song The Bloody Light, you guys released that 8 months ago with an accompanying music video, and then the album doesn't get released until a few weeks from now. So that's like an 8 or 9 month gap. Does it feel like you've been waiting forever for this album to come out and people to enjoy your hard work?
Yeah, it's such a weird time now, because everybody's like releasing song after song after song after song every day on Spotify, and it's kind of the new way. But it's like, and sometimes I'm like, but some of it gets lost. Like you can't. It's like I think there's got to be a little bit of quality over quantity, and I feel like we're in a quantity time now. It's like there's too much of everything, so it's like it's a bit weird to, you know. I don't know. Part of me just wants to put out the record, and that's it. But that's not the way the world works anymore. So like a lead up time for a record back in 10 years ago, it was like, I don't know, 3 months. You'd put a single out, and then the record would come out, and that would be it. But now it's like, no, you got to put like a song out every 4 months and make sure your Spotify spins are up. I'm like, I don't even know, man. I also don't even know about those metrics, because now we're on the road with bands that like, they've got 1.5 million followers, and there's not even a single person there to watch them. It's like, I don't know how these metrics, I don't know what they mean. And I think everybody that's really going into like turning music into like data gathering, it's a slippery slope. A lot of my favorite records of all time, some of them have billions of streams, but others are like not, they don't. It doesn't make the work any less, so I don't know. It seems like a long lead time, and I don't want to be the old man complaining, but here I am.
Earlier, you mentioned you love when vocalists push their voice, whether it's the low range or the high notes. And I find that in this collection of 6 songs that I can listen to from the new album, that there is that range in your vocals, that you're really pushing the low with songs like Love or Pain. You're pushing the low and high in the Bloody Light. And we have a lot of musicians that listen to the podcast. For the young musicians that are singers, do you have any advice on how they can really, really push their voice without blowing their voice? Like how to
Yeah,
project?
I have an exact answer to that. So there's one book that saved my life. It's called Roger Love's Set Your Voice Free. I found it in a discount bargain bin at a Chapters in Pennsylvania in 2007. And you can get it on audiobook, or you can get it on just book. And it was a lifesaver. It gave me so many warm-ups that I do to this day. And it's allowed me to sing in a register that most guys my age would not be able to sing at. But it's because I do those warm-ups every day, and then on the road, and then I do warm downs as well, and it's all from that book. And there's another guy I just discovered, and I'm gonna have to take my phone off airplane mode just to find him. But his name is Lucas Milcham, and he's an opera singer, and he's got these warm ups and it's on YouTube, and it's just all opera singer warm ups, and it's phenomenal. So Lucas Milcham, I follow him on Instagram. I'm gonna just spell his name, but I'm telling you, for any rock singers out there, you're going to live and die by your warm-ups, but also your warm downs. So like, it's like going to the gym. If you don't warm down after working out, you're going to pull something or hurt something. And the same with singing. So I noticed a lot of singers are still warming up, but then they don't do the warm down. So always do a 5-minute cool down. Like, get away from the band when you get off stage, wherever you are, just find your own space and do a warm down. It'll save your voice. Like, I've had nights where, I've sang for 2.5 hours, and like I get to that point where, no matter how much warming up you do start to like burn out certain register. And but the warm downs have been, the next morning I can go and do radio interviews and still have a voice and be able to sing the next night. So Lucas Meacham, Meachem, he's a lyric baritone, and he's got these phenomenal opera warm-ups, and I actually do them every day now because I just want to stay in shape to play at all times.
I've never heard a singer talk about the warm down afterwards, so that's good advice.
Yeah, and like when you're in your 20s and you blow your voice out, it'll come back. You know what I mean? Like you're young, but as you get older, it takes longer to recover. But I would say to any young singers out there, you're gonna extend your career as a live performer the quicker you get onto those warm ups and warm downs. It doesn't mean you can't have fun. Just do the warm down and then go have fun.
We have a fan question from Heather Lee McLean. She says, I've always been interested in learning about how an artist's mind works. As a songwriter, what inspires you to come up with amazing lyrics? Personal experiences? Do you write better in different surroundings? Listening to other music? As I am listening to Love or Pain, I feel it. What a gift to be able to move people with your talent.
Um, Amazing. That's the whole goal. That's what everybody wants to do, and it's not just me. Sometimes I need help. I write a lot of lyrics. I write pretty much every day, but sometimes I can get really lost in them, and I can get too far down the wormhole of a certain idea. And sometimes it takes a guy like Brett Emmons or Chris Kirby or Gordie Johnson or Simon Wilcox to help me kind of flesh out my ideas and make sure they're more emotionally direct. Sometimes it just takes work. Once I get the right lyrics, I'm pretty good at knowing how to interpret them and sing them so that they're going to resonate. But that all starts with just trying to resonate with myself, you know. And so I think I think everybody's creative. I think everybody can be an artist. I think everybody should write. I think everybody should paint. I think even if it's bad, it's still great. Was it Kurt Vonnegut who said, like, just do shit, just make stuff, create. I'm a big advocate for that. I think it's good for your mental health. I think it's good for your well-being. You don't have to show it to anybody. You don't have to release it. I tend to work that way. I just write what I write and I just put it all out there. But I've been very, very fortunate to have excellent sounding boards in my career that have really allowed me to hone in on what I'm actually trying to say and what emotionally I'm trying to get across. And I've only gotten better at that as I've gone, but I've had a lot of help.
You've mentioned that throughout your life you've dealt with depression at different points. Is the song Don't Get Lost in the Dark about depression?
Uh, I mean, it could be, but it's more about a person I know I love very much going through a rough time health-wise. And I'm not going to name who it is, but I wanted to make sure that that person knew I was thinking about them. And I guess when you say don't get lost in the dark, it does, you know, it's definitely someplace I've been many times in my life. And I've had to work really hard at not staying there. And I've had to get sober because of it. And I've had to be in therapy. And I've had to do lots of stuff to keep myself from getting too down. That's for sure.
If some of our listeners are currently going through depression, do you have any advice on what you found has worked for you over the years? So there's always therapy. Is there anything else that you find?
Therapy's been really, really helpful for me. It's so expensive though, and I just wish it was part of people's. I know it's part of their medical benefits for some jobs, but I wish it was part of OHIP as well, just so people that don't have benefits or they're like freelance workers could still get access. I find talking it out has been really helpful, but talking it out in a place that's safe, not with somebody that's going to judge you. It's good to have people that you're close to where you can just say what you need to say and get it off your chest, because holding on to that stuff can be really damaging. But at the same, and if you can't have that, I found just writing helps. And I don't mean writing a song or writing a book, just writing down what you're feeling, just to get it out of your psyche and onto the page, just so you're not, any way that you don't have to carry it. And I found all that stuff very helpful. Meditating, exercise, sometimes, like, I know some people have severe depression, and this is not, I'm not trying to give medical advice at all, and sometimes you just can't get out of bed. At that point, I do wish you could go see a doctor, or, be very careful and be very gentle with yourself. But if you're just going through a down period, sometimes it's good just to have a schedule that you make for yourself. And no matter how you feel, like, I'm just going to get up, I'm going to journal, I'm going to meditate, I'm going to make oatmeal. And you almost do it point form. Because sometimes the feelings and stuff that whatever you're going through can be so overwhelming that you can't, if you're just going on your feelings, you're not going to want to do anything. So sometimes it's just almost good to just have just your list and just check it off. And you know what? Get it done. And that's enough for the day, and I hope, and then life can be so hard because people have to make a living and they've got families and they've got kids and they've got bills and there's so much, but try to carve a little bit of space there for your ability to just kind of process whatever you're going through, because otherwise it can come out in such negative ways.